Hi, this is Richard Chamberlain. I'm one of the attorneys with the Legacy Law Group in Perrysburg, Ohio. Welcome back to the Protecting Your Family's Future podcast. This is episode number 48. We're still working through the issues in a probate estate so that if you're involved in a probate estate, either as the fiduciary or as a beneficiary, you'll understand the process a little bit better, and hopefully that will help you get those things done. Today, we're going to be talking about how careful the fiduciary in the estate needs to be with the estate checking account. So when we have an estate, there are assets in the estate. Generally, there will be some bank accounts and perhaps some real estate, automobiles, any other types of assets. If the decedent owned some bank accounts, checking, savings, money market, what have you, those ultimately need to be closed because they can't stay in the name of the deceased person. They need to be closed, and a checking account needs to be opened in the name of the estate. So an estate checking account. All of the funds from those existing bank accounts are then deposited into that estate checking account. When any other assets are sold, be it real estate, automobiles, or what have you, the proceeds from the sale of those assets are also distributed or deposited into that estate checking account. So ultimately, that estate checking account becomes the place from which all of the estate bills, expenses, costs, taxes, all of those things are paid, and then the distributions are made to the estate beneficiaries. So it's an extremely important aspect of being the estate fiduciary, the executor or the administrator. And it's very important that that fiduciary handle that estate checking account appropriately. If not, then the estate fiduciary can be held personally responsible for any mistakes that are made in that account. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. When we're representing an estate fiduciary, we want to make sure that they're handling that account properly. So what needs to happen? First, we need to understand that the estate checking account belongs to the estate. It does not belong to the individual. So only estate obligations can be paid from that account. So only estate debts, claims, expenses, fees, taxes of the decedent or of the estate can be paid out of that account. The fiduciary cannot use that account to pay their own personal bills. Second, it's important, and we're going to talk about this next week when we talk about wrapping up the estate. It's important that the estate fiduciary be able to prove exactly what happened with those estate assets. And in order to do that, they need to prove that what went out of that account was a legitimate estate expense that needed to be paid from those assets. In order to do that, all of the receipts need to be saved. So all the bills that are being paid, those bills need to be saved. They need to be matched up with the checks going out to show that these bills were paid with this money. So if there's ever a question, it can be proven that that money that went out to this company or this individual was an actual legitimate estate expense. So also, it goes without saying, but all of the checks from the estate account need to be retained, copies. It's never advisable to use cash to pay any kind of an estate expense because you can't prove what that cash was used for. If you just take out cash and then you hand that cash to somebody, it could have been for anything. So never use cash, always use checks when you're using that estate checking account. So if you're handling an estate account and you handle it properly, it can be fairly straightforward, fairly easy to make sure you don't run afoul of all the rules and potentially make yourself responsible for improper use of those assets. But if you are not careful and you're not retaining records, you're not keeping receipts and copies of bills, or you're paying your own personal expenses, you could really get into a lot of trouble. So it's important that you don't do that. If you have any questions about an estate that you're administering or that you're a beneficiary of, you want to talk about how that goes. If that is in Ohio or in Michigan, we can help you with that. You can reach out to us. Our contact information is in the show notes. And I hope this has been helpful for you today, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks.